Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, November 14. In Squiz Kids Today, stinky whales and corpse flowers. Paris church bells ring again. AFLW semis are on, and the ghost Halloween parade. That's what's making news, kids style.
The Lowdown.
And it's a special Stinky edition of The Lowdown today, as crowds gather on opposite sides of the planet to get a whiff of something very smelly.
Ew!
Starting in Geelong, right here in Australia, where crowds of locals have queued for hours to stick their nose into the bloom of a most unusual flower. Called the corpse flower and growing at the Geelong Botanic Gardens, it's a weird-looking plant that only flowers once every 10 years. And even then, the bloom only lasts for 24 to 48 hours. It's kind of like seeing a shooting star, but growing in a garden. The corpse flower is so called because when it blooms, it releases a smell that is putrid, which is a fancy way of saying really, really stinky. Like maybe if a bag of prawn heads had been left in your wheelie bin and out in the sun for a week. That sort of a stink. I've stuck a link to video of the flower and people smelling it in today's episode notes. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, there are crowds gathering around a fake dead whale on the shore of a lake in a country called Azerbaijan, and that's for an altogether different reason. You see, something called the COP29 climate talks are taking place there, which is where countries from all over the world come together to discuss how to stop global warming. And a bunch of artists have created a full-sized model of a dead sperm whale, and they've stuck buckets of rotting fish inside it to make a statement about why it's important for the world to protect the environment and look after our Earth. I've stuck a link to a photo of this smelly art installation in today's episode notes. And that's the stink edition of The Lowdown officially over. You can stop holding your breath now.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Paris. Aha, the city of love, where 3 new bells have been delivered to one of the world's most famous cathedrals. You've heard of Notre Dame Cathedral, right? Maybe you've seen the animated movie The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's one of the most famous churches in the world, and in 2019, it almost burned down. Carpenters and builders and clever stonemasons have been working for the past 5 years to rebuild the church, and it's set to reopen at the end of this year, ahead of schedule. And when it does, it will be with 3 brand new bells. Because what is a cathedral without bells? And for a nice sporting touch, one of the bells is from the Paris Olympics and was donged by every athlete that won a sporting gold medal at the Stade de France. Nice.
Sport time.
We love a bit of footy here at Squiz Kids, which is why we've been loving all of the action in the AFLW. That's the Women's AFL League, and we can't wait for this weekend's semi-finals. Heat up the popcorn, people, as the Crows take on the Dockers on Saturday afternoon, and then treat yourself to some footy franks for dinner later on Saturday night as the Hawks take on the Power. It's do or die in this elimination set of semis. And what about the fact that the Crows and the Power are both in the semis? I mean, there's clearly a lot of AFL talent among the girls in Adelaide. Meanwhile, if that's not enough footy for one weekend, set your alarm for 3 a.m. on Monday morning. No, seriously, your parents will love it, as the Wallabies hope to ride the momentum of their massive win against England last weekend as they take on Wales. Come on, Aussies.
News hounds.
Every Thursday, Squizzy the Newshound sticks his snout into Squiz Kids HQ to report back on fishy things he's sniffed out on the internet. And this week, his trusty nose is twitching after hundreds of people in the Irish capital of Dublin were tricked by fake social media posts to attend a Halloween parade that never happened. Just before Halloween, people in Dublin started to see posts on TikTok that looked official, saying that there was going to be a Halloween parade down the main street of their city. And so hundreds of people rocked up and stood patiently on the parade route, only for absolutely nothing to happen. It was a hoax. And people fell for it because they didn't do what Squizzy the Newshound always tells us to do, and that is to stop, think, and check before believing everything we come across online. Mental note to self, must get Newshounds into Ireland. What's Newshounds? It's only our free media literacy resource for primary school classrooms. New and improved. Free for any teacher to sign up to, and a shout out to our friend Sarah Weston, also known as Gifted and Talented Teacher on Instagram, for posting about Newshounds. And if you're among the newbies who have just signed up to do Newshounds with your classroom, welcome aboard. If you're not and you're interested in checking it out, squizkids.com.au has all the info you need.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What's the name of the famous cathedral in Paris that just got its bells back? Yes, that's right, it's Notre Dame. Question number 2. In which city in Ireland were people tricked by a hoax Halloween parade? Well done if you said Dublin. Question number 3. Which Aussie capital city has not one but 2 teams in this weekend's AFLW semi-finals? Did you say Adelaide? You would be right.
Shout outs.
It's Thursday, November 14. Today is King Charles's birthday. And it's also the birthday of famous French painter Claude Monet. If you've never seen his artwork called Water Lilies, Google it immediately. Plus, today's my mum's birthday, so a big happy birthday to Diane Corbett. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Lilia from Brocklehurst, Maeve from Guyra, Greg from Donvale, Connie from Virginia, Archie from Kingscliff, who's currently travelling around Australia. And a belated birthday shout out goes to Charlotte from Concord and Hannah, who's listening all the way over there in Colima in Mexico. And classroom shout-outs today go to Class 3 Gold with Miss Caffarelli at Macaulay Catholic Primary School, to Class 4 DM with Mrs Mullane at John Henry Primary School in Pakenham, Class 3 JD and Ms Walker at Brightwater Public School, and Class 1 HM with Ms Wilson at St Martin of Tours Primary School in Rosanna. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow with our Kids vs. Adults weekly news quiz, where you get to test who's been paying the most attention to the week that just was. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.